All right, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of A Bunch of Marks. I'm Brian Daniels, and it's our first episode of the end of the year in 2025. And joining me are the marks that you guys come to know and love. I got my wife over here, Raven.
Hi.
I've got Mr. Rocco Jerome in the house.
Hey, that's me, Rocco.
That's right. Rocco's Modern Life over there. And we got Josh Thundershaver, my podcast tag team partner. What's going on, man?
Hey, yo, how's it going?
It's going good. It's going good.
Good.
So we're winding down the end of the year in 2025, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about, we're always trying to think of something new, something fun to discuss in the realm of professional wrestling. And one topic I'm very shocked that we have not covered yet is just the sheer absurdity of professional wrestling, because guys, we know there's a lot of it. Pro wrestling is absurd.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling is zany. Pro wrestling is funny. Pro wrestling can be serious.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to talk about specifically on this episode, and maybe we can do another kind of like this where we go into the serious side of pro wrestling. Maybe we can kind of change up the emotion, if you will, about pro wrestling and have a discussion about that. So that is what this episode is going to be about tonight. But first, we're going to talk about our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile app and website that you can go to and download on your Android or iOS devices. And thanks to SeatGeek, they are giving you the ability to save money on those pro wrestling tickets, because we know, as well as you guys do, that pro wrestling tickets are not cheap. So you can download the SeatGeek app today on your Android or iOS devices. You can use our promo code, the domain GPCE10 to save $20 on your very first purchase of $50 or more. That's the domain GPCE10. Save some money, get those tickets. You deserve it. Anyway, also another programming note as well is that coming up at the end of March of next year, on the 27th and the 28th, is Squared Circle Expo 6 in Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Wyndham West Hotel, right by the Indianapolis International Airport. And this will be, I guess maybe for Josh and I. Well, no, Josh, you didn't go to the first one, did you?
I missed the first one, and it will always be a dark stain on my history.
Man. So I guess I am the only one of the four of us that have been to every single Squared Circle. This will be my sixth, and this will be my sixth time covering it.
This will be my third time.
This will be your third. Rocco, is this like your second time going to it, Rocco? Or
This will be my third. I actually thought the second one was the first one, which
gotcha.
I don't know what that means, what that says about me. The first one was at a weird time.
Yeah, it was like their because they were going to have it during COVID, but then they had to push it back. Remember? They had announced Rey Mysterio, and then they weren't able to get him to come back because they had to cancel their COVID show. But that's why it was a weird time. So
think about who was that, whichever ones it kind of like Nick Aldis was still on the that was the big reason I won, was to meet Aldis. And he now to be in WWE land, as would Johnny Gargano, who had the longest line of not an AEW.
Mm-hmm.
He was between WWE.
Yeah, they had Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, which, by the way, they were just announced.
Woo, I'm so excited.
Super excited. I had the pleasure of interviewing Karrion Kross while all that stuff was going on with his WWE contract, and got his book. So I'm definitely going to take his book and get it autographed and get a picture with him. But we're also going to be at Square Circle Expo 6. We're going to have a booth for the very first time. We're going to have our own booth set up. We might be doing some giveaways. I might be doing some hand-me-down giveaways, kind of filtering through my wrestling stuff, maybe seeing if there's a few things I can give away. We're going to try to have some stickers, some cards. We're going to have our equipment there as well. And we're going to be podcasting live. Well, not live, but we're going to be podcasting from Squared Circle Expo 6. So if you happen to be there, stop by our booth. We might pull you aside to talk some pro wrestling with you for a little bit. We do a few flash interviews or two while we're there. And we're super stoked to look forward to it. You can meet Josh Thundershaver, pro wrestler, $4.99 on the PWI Top 500 20 years ago.
Right. I actually talked to Clone's Clone, and he said that he might show up too and sign some autographs.
That'd be cool. There you go. So you can meet some
local... is one of the most absurd things that I've ever had propositioned at me. So
Yeah, you could meet a couple local from the old good old UBW days.
Yeah.
And check that out. And Rocco will be there. He'll be there promoting his Ghost Agents comic. Which, by the way, guys,
He's
go
much more
check out
famous
Ghost
than me.
Agents. Rocco, where can people go and check out Ghost Agents?
Ghostagents.net. Freya the Slayer is a big part of what I do, and I will probably be at her table, I assume. But I'll come visit you guys. That's for
He'll
sure.
bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
He'll bounce back.
You know, any excuse to kind of like go for a stroll and just see what you can see at the wrestling convention. It's really some of the best people watching. There is. It's the very
It's
best.
my favorite show every year
is Planet Fitness. The second best Planet people watching, Airport. Third, definitely wrestling convention.
Wrestling fans are definitely fun to watch, but
they are.
But we will be there. So that's March 27th and 28th. And you can go to squaredcirclex.com to get your tickets today. Sign up, get some passes. I recommend getting the weekend pass. They're also going to have a wrestling show on both Friday and Saturday night. I'm assuming, once again, for their Friday night show, it's going to be Black Label Pro, BLP. And then, of course, Ed and Adolfo put on an amazing Squared Circle Expo wrestling show as well. And I have a dream match that I want to see at Squared Circle Expo 6. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I want to see Jake Oman versus Karrion Kross.
Killer Kross.
Yeah. Sorry. That'd be great.
Make that happen.
That'd make a lot of people happy.
Let's
Ed
do
and Adolfo. That would make a lot of people happy, Ed and Adolfo.
Yes. Yeah, Ed and Adolfo. Yeah.
Yeah, Ed and Adolfo.
Yeah, Ed and Adolfo. Anyway, let's get into it. So, guys, pro wrestling, man, it's so absurd, right, at times. And sometimes just the things that they put on TV. You know, I gotta go. I'm gonna go here, and I think for the immediate thing, there's two immediate things, and one. And I know, Rocco, you're gonna talk about kind of the there's like before Vince McMahon really was before, kind of that pre-Vince McMahon era, then that post-Vince McMahon era, or
there wasn't,
or when Vince McMahon was
total dearth of absurdity in the old days of wrestling.
Yes,
it was less a part of what it was.
But for me, I would have to say two things, and both of these things really do a good job of explaining both eras. So the first thing I think of is the gobbledygooker.
Okay,
now,
that's a great one.
Raven. I don't think Raven knows at all what that is. Do you know?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Okay, I have to know in what context did you hear
I think
that?
you guys might have actually talked about it briefly before on an episode.
Okay.
I would almost promise it was me talking about the gooker.
Yeah, probably, but I don't remember it.
Okay, so the gobbledygooker was this egg that they had put up near the main entrance ramp at the top. And they had shown it on TV for like weeks and weeks.
Which was on
Survivor Series.
And it was on Survivor. Yeah, sorry, it was on Survivor Series. And finally the egg hatched at Survivor Series. And it was
Thanksgiving Day.
Thanksgiving Day. And it was this giant turkey named the gobbledygooker.
That's so stupid.
That, like, I don't think it ever wrestled, right? It never wrestled, did it? Did it ever have a match?
Took some bumps, but I don't think
it took some bumps.
He got his ass kicked. Because wasn't that also the same event that The Undertaker debuted?
I don't remember if that was the year that The Undertaker debuted. It could be.
You know, I'm always remembering things wrong.
You are. No, you're right.
Fuck linear time.
Yeah, you always do. You always remember things wrong. That's correct. No, but and then the contrast to that fine piece of storytelling, I guess, is I have to talk about it. I would be amiss if I did not bring this up. And then I'll let you guys kind of have the discussion from here, because I'm very curious to see what you guys come up with, what your immediate go-tos are.
Oh, you already know I'm taking us to Japan.
Okay. I have to talk about the time when Mark Henry, I just said Mark Henry, and then I think a couple of you guys should immediately know what I'm talking about.
You already know,
when Mark
I brought it the other day. Henry
dated Mae Young.
Yep.
And Mae Young's she was way older.
Yeah.
Way older than like Probably in like her 70s or some shit like that.
Well, for the long time, it was a joke that Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah were just old as fuck, and that was the whole joke.
Yeah. So I guess what happened was, and I'm just kind of reading this. This is from the Sportster.com. Apparently, Mark Henry had a real slow start to his career.
Yeah.
And so they tried to do something, and so they made him become. His gimmick was the sexual chocolate. He was sexual chocolate Mark Henry.
Yes.
And I remember like on his Titantron, it had like a Hershey bar. And do you guys remember?
God.
Do you remember like the candy bar that was on his Titantron?
I got in trouble for calling him sexual chocolate.
Yeah.
I was like, that's his name.
Yeah. So basically it was revealed through story that he suffered from a sex addiction that was apparently, I didn't even know all that. I didn't know there was this much lore.
As fuck.
I didn't know there was this much lore to the story, but according to this, it was revealed that he suffered from a sex addiction, which was brought on due to a childhood relationship with his own sister. Now, I did not remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
he started showing interest in Mae Young because he is basically a bona fide sex addict, and they started having a relationship, which apparently happened at I guess something happened between like them and the Dudley Boys, and I see what happened. So the Dudley Boys did a power bomb, a splash from Viscera on Mae Young.
Yeah, and then he would go to trance. Remember that? Bubba would go to trance.
Yeah, and they did like these vignettes or these like pre-recorded bits where Mae Young and Mark Henry, I'm showing her a picture, were in like bed together having sex.
That's so.
And so basically the climax, no pun intended, of the story.
Oh my God.
Was that Mae Young gave birth to a hand.
A hand.
So,
an actual, just a hand.
So.
And go ahead and ask your question.
I don't have, at least right now in my head, I don't have very many absurd things or whatever to think of. I've never even seen this. I've never heard all of the backstory or anything, but I was going to mention the damn hand because I have heard that so many times and it's just ick.
So,
well, see, here's the thing is that what couldn't have been translated is from straight up my memory. I remember that they made that the most dramatic shit ever. It was like, oh, wow, they're really having a baby. They're really having a baby. And then it was the wet dog fart of
my God.
It's a plastic hand. And it was kind of like, okay, the storyline's over, and they killed it right there. Yeah.
So this basically happened, right? It happened for a long time. Until I don't even remember this. I must not have been watching WWE at the time.
I absolutely remember this.
There was a later point where during where is it? The Raw 1000 show.
It was the Raw 1000, yeah.
Somebody dressed up in a hand costume.
No.
And they were Mark Henry's child.
Mark Henry's child.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to show Raven the picture of
what the
of somebody.
Yes.
See, that's them holding the hand like it's got it's supposed to be afterbirth on the hand.
I know what my Halloween costume's gonna be.
They're gonna be Mae Young's
Mark Henry's son hand.
Guys, no, not really. Jeez Louise. Anyway, go ahead.
We should go to the wrestling show. We should dress in the hand.
Absolutely.
That would actually be kind of funny, but
any wrestling show, not WWE, like just go to OVW.
I was thinking OVW, yeah.
All right. After that, it's up to you guys. So please, whomever wants to take the floor, I would love to hear your thoughts on. And of course, I have more, but I have co-hosts, and it's time for them to talk. So,
sure, go ahead, Rocco.
Yeah, Rocco, what you got?
Yeah, I would love to hear your
I mean, one of the things about wrestling in my life is that whenever I talk to someone who doesn't get it, I find myself feeling like I have to be the ambassador for a lot of things that I love that the general world outside doesn't, like I find myself often having to explain whether or not it's a comic book or a graphic novel and why that doesn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wrestling is something where I feel like I have to go to bat for it a lot of times. Even though
I feel that. Yeah.
Here's a great quote that maybe you guys have heard before. Vince McMahon, which, you know, that whole story you just told, basically the punchline is, what the fuck is wrong with Vince McMahon? Basically.
Yeah. That's a loaded question, but yeah.
Here's the time he said something that I thought was really pretty brilliant, and that was, for people who understand the beauty of professional wrestling, nothing needs to be said. But for people that don't, there's nothing you can ever really say to change their mind. They see it, they don't. They don't feel like there's much to it. But what I always try to sort of communicate to people is, like, we're in on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know it's work.
That's a great point.
We understand that it's a show and it's a kind of entertainment, and it's just sort of like absurdity made manifest. You know, the whole thing is silly, right?
Like we're a bunch of marks or something.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, you know, I kind of try to sort of meet people halfway where that's concerned. And then the other thing that I always say is, pro wrestling is the only form of showbiz in which a performer actually comes out and deliberately does things to make the audience hate them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then at this point, if the person hasn't already changed the subject or just tried to get away from me at the cocktail party or whatever, I talk about how people who appreciate professional wrestling are able to see things in the real world that are sort of wrestling type things that we are able to decode before other people do, because we know the difference between a face and a heel, and we know what a heel turn is, and we know what a face turn is, right? Like when Andy Kaufman and Jerry Lawler did their whole program on David Letterman, there were a lot of people who thought they were way too smart for wrestling, who totally fell for the wrestling angle. You know what I mean? And if you look at the world of politics, I mean, it's clear that there's a lot of people. I'm not going to get specific because I know you don't like when I do that. But there's certain people that we can look at and say, oh, that guy's working heel, at least for that crowd, right?
Yeah.
And what that
I love relating other things to other things, and that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, if you understand wrestling, you sort of have like a way of walking around the world that you can comprehend that other people don't. Are you guys familiar with somebody named Sputnik Monroe?
No.
No, but I love the name.
Wrestler in the 1950s. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest on Sputnik Monroe. Sputnik Monroe was a heel, and he was called that because the Russians had a satellite in space before we did, and it was called Sputnik. And the worst thing that one of the marks in the audience could think to call this guy that she hated so much was Sputnik, like relate him to the Russians. So his name became Sputnik Monroe. The thing that's really interesting about Sputnik Monroe, he was a white dude, but he was a baby face for the black people in the audience and a heel to the white people, because he would always
love that
the black parts of the audience. And he would go and hang out at blues clubs. He knew B.B. King. He probably rubbed shoulders with a very young Elvis at some point. Sputnik Monroe is a very important part of the fabric of Memphis. They actually have his trunks and one of his flashy shirts in the Rock and Soul Museum, one street over from Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee. So now the thing about it is, and that takes me into what I was sort of getting at before and what you mentioned before, is that wrestling used to make more internal sense. Like when I'm at the cocktail party and I'm trying to explain wrestling and the way that some people will battle over kayfabe, and it's such an important part of their life, they'll be like, oh, you know, there's an undead monster in the ring. I mean, come on. Well, it wasn't always like that. That's not the way it used to be. It used to be two people were fighting, and this was how they fought. And it wasn't, you know, you had like Buddy Rogers, who was like gay coded, you know, but it's like, it wasn't really something where somebody had a big elaborate storyline. You know what I mean? And all that stuff really came from the Hogan era. And
it was just kind of a thing,
which took over the WWF. And that sort of interjected as sort of a kind of absurdity to wrestling. And I mean, that happened in Memphis too. I mean, Jerry Lawler had Batman on, you know, Adam West, and he had Frankenstein. He was taking it into those waters too. But the thing about it that I contemplate is, if not for this like show busy absurd sort of storytelling that got interjected into wrestling, I don't know that it would have made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it maybe would have kind of ended up like burlesque, like where there's like burlesque ladies who are strippers, but they're not really, and they're not at a strip bar. They're at like a hipster place.
That's kind of how I felt about like Vince McMahon Attitude Era booking. I didn't know if these were like just strippers or.
That's what I mean is like it's not stripping when it's that burlesque thing. It's an art,
right? It's a different word for the same thing.
That's where I think wrestling would have went and ended up.
Okay.
Had there not been a WWF that made it into a giant cartoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the absurdity kind of like saved wrestling in a way. If you call this saved it.
Yeah, right. I was a few things I was thinking about when you were mentioning, like we're talking about just the things that happen in the show, because you make it. I love your point about how we're in on it too. Like the crowd has to be in on it for it to be all believed.
Absolutely.
Right. Few things I was looking at. Some people have wrote down that make a lot of sense. Like, for instance, why do they never use the Titantron to see when someone's attacking them from behind? Like, because if you ever go to a show, they do show stuff on the Titantron. They used to, and then that whole thing. Or I always thought it was funny when they would clear off a table before they put a guy through it. I'm like, what's the point? Like, fucking put him through it, right? Like, you wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't. You wouldn't say, "Oh wait, I don't want you to get hurt this way, but I'll put you through the table, right?" It's that kind of funny.
So. Yeah, you need it to make a kind of internal sense, and when it doesn't, it lets you know.
Yeah. What's up, Raven?
My thing is when they all stand around and wait for them to do the
dives.
To do the dive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either through the ropes or over the ropes. Just like you're not gonna have 5 people just standing there waiting for somebody to jump on them. Like, no, there's gonna be a melee between the 5 people, first of all.
You mean like at War Games where like Io Sky put the trash can on and they all waited literally like 10 minutes for her to dive?
So they're like crap their pants in fear, yeah.
Now that one I'm gonna just be like, they were like, oh, staring up at her in awe because wow, who does this? But I'm talking like because I mean, like she climbed up to the top of the cage. Okay, I'm talking like you're just jumping through the ring. Like, no, nobody's gonna stand there and wait for you to do that.
One thing I could never understand about pro wrestling when I was younger was when how they have contract signings for big like matches.
Yes,
and I'm like,
what?
So do they not? So do they not do this for all the other matches too?
Yeah, why does this only happen sometimes?
Why is this special?
Because they always like, it's the big contract signing. It's like,
I mean, do it every time or don't.
Yeah, right. So,
and I would like
and then someone's getting put to the table, right? Like it's just
Yeah, always. If there's a table, someone's
going through the table. Yeah,
tables exist to have people put through them in the wrestling world.
It's
kind of like how all porn takes place in an alternate universe. It just happens all the time. Wrestling really takes place in an alternate universe where people fight all the time. So it's that veil of illusion that you're pulling away. You
know what also gaslit me when I was younger is I thought people just came out for everything with music. Like, what's up with that?
That's great.
Because they always got.
What do you mean people don't just have their own theme songs? The fuck?
What I always thought was funny too is when they did it when they were running into a match too, like they were doing a run in, and I was like, what's the fucking point? You spoiled your own like attack on a person.
Oh yeah, that for sure. Yeah,
that's to me. Raven, what you got? What's some absurd things about pro wrestling? I know you like I said, we have to remind everybody.
Yeah.
Raven's not been watching as long as we have, but I'm really curious to hear your perspective. What are a few things like just silly for you? Like,
I mean, I've already mentioned it. I mean, just I don't. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
I don't. Sorry, messing with the microphone. I don't really have a whole lot that I think is like super absurd. I mean, like I think things are almost more boring now than they are anything.
You don't think it's absurd that a guy walks out with chilies around his neck and says he's the tribal chief?
I mean,
that doesn't sound absurd.
I mean, because I know the
person around his neck,
but I know the backstory. You know what I mean? I don't know. Okay, so what I think is absurd, I guess, is somebody showing up every like 5, 10, 20 shows and then like not show again for another 5, 10, 20 shows.
Writing holes, yeah, I get that.
You know what I never understood about the Royal Rumble was like they always come out every 90 seconds, right? Okay. Why wouldn't the guy just kick everybody? Why wouldn't they just be kicking each other's ass backstage and then like to eliminate everybody?
Yeah, like where are they coming from to come out those 90 seconds?
Are they like
clearly just standing chilling.
Do they all line up in a row backstage? Like, okay, everybody line up in the order in which you go out to the Rumble. Like, you know,
show me your tickets.
Show me.
You know, they've got a little secondary green room set up with like a pizza and Kool-Aid and stuff for everybody waiting, you know. But it's like party cut pizza.
I guess the most recent like super absurd thing for me was the stupid Rock Cody Rhodes getting your soul.
Selling his soul?
Yes, that was just so dumb.
That went a place it didn't need to, yeah.
Yeah. That was probably the most absurd. Since I've been watching, you know, I think that was the most absurd.
I think the most absurd thing is that pro wrestling taught me that you can kick your boss's ass and go back to work the next day.
Yeah.
And it also taught me that when your boss says you're suspended, you're not really suspended. You're just
you just got to buy a ticket and come in the front door.
Go back.
Unless you're Enzo Amore. Sorry, dude.
Oh shit, that's bad.
Can I just pay a fine and forget all my past aggressions at work?
Josh, what are some ridiculous things? Absurd.
Oh man! So first of all, and Brian, what I need you to understand as an editor's note that when I say this first and last name, go through and bleep them out so we're not actually saying his name. I want to talk about the guy, but not give remembrance to the piece of shit that he was. Joey Ryan had this thing where his dick attacked you by your hand grabbing it and then him throwing you, and somehow he got away with it for a couple years.
Hold on.
Yes.
We can't just skim over this, Josh.
I'm like, what?
So Raven doesn't know. So I actually went. I don't know if Rocco, you remember this or not. They had a you remember Rocco? They had a TNA crossover OPW pay-per-view at Davis Arena like 4 or 5 years ago. Remember that?
Was it just a TNA pay-per-view at Davis?
At Davis, yeah, at Davis. Yeah. And they had Joey Ryan have a match there. Did you watch that? Oh
yeah, I was at that one. Yeah.
So Raven's looking at me like, what the fuck? So Joey Ryan is a terrible person. And I mean like that in the most real way.
He's on the registered list.
Oh yeah. And
shit.
But he was
before that came out, all this stuff was fun and games though. You know what I mean?
It was funny. Yeah, I mean it was silly.
Oh yeah.
Silly, but
I laughed at it before I realized how fucked up it was.
It was still cringy because he would have women do it.
Before that, it was just like, oh, he's probably really just a sweet guy.
He would have women do it too, and to me, I was like, that's kind of weird. So
in hindsight, that's like, oh, dude, no, that is kind of,
Yeah, but so listen. So let me tell Raven. So he did moves with his dick, and one of his things he would do is like he would take like a sucker, and he would put it down his pants, and then he'd pull it out and he'd shove it in the mouth of the person. But his like finisher. Wasn't it called the dick suplex or the dickplex or the something or another? But he would take their hand and have them grab his crotch, and he would like take his hips and like do like that, like I just like the shaking a twisting of his hips, and to make it look like his dick like flipped them or some shit. It was called the dick flip or something like that, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the dumbest things.
I have to show you a video of you have to see this.
You do. Do I have to?
And he would do this to women. Like it was some real dudes who
didn't feel like touching dong that day.
Vince McMahon era, like attitude era, bad shit.
It was kind of the most Vince McMahon thing that didn't involve Vince McMahon.
You're right. Yeah,
that's actually
absolutely
a great way to put that. I could see that.
I'm surprised Vince McMahon didn't create that.
Yeah.
And then
there was some
like, oh wait a minute, like. So you really are a pervert. Oh,
Joey Ryan, what a terrible.
He's that guy. And then there was this whole thing where he got hired as like a Disney World cast member, and then people were like, "No, dog, that's because he used his legal name, which I can't think of off the top of my head." And people were like, "No, dude, that's Joey Ryan. He makes people touch his pee-pee. He can't do that." And like the internet came up and had him, removed from Disney within a day. It was nuts. You don't fuck with the internet.
Imagine we're like being his boss or whatever at the Disney.
Yeah. Hey, can you come into my office? Yeah. So people on the internet are telling me that you made people touch your pee-pee.
I mean, of all the places he could have got another job too.
Yeah, like Disney.
That's messed up, dude.
Yeah, he was working on one of the rides.
And if not for that, he would have been on AEW. He would have been one of the Joey Janela, all those guys that have been on the early AEW for sure.
He had the charisma for sure.
You know what?
Go ahead.
One thing real fast is this just hit me. Is how come they don't have instant replay in pro wrestling?
I mean, they do.
Instant replay? No,
it's not called as instant replay. You mean like for the refs?
Yeah, like for the refs. Like,
shit!
NFL like challenge. I want to challenge the decision
because heel's got a heel.
Because they obviously show, he cheated and he pulled him by the tights to get a 3, or he used leverage and the ref didn't see it. Like, motherfucker, the ref could see it. Like, it could just throw a flag.
It's one of those things like. In horror movies in modern days, you got to worry about the cell phone. You got to explain why the cell phone doesn't work. I know why. Well, we just kind of ignore the fact that the refs can't just look and see a giant 50-foot screen next to them that'll show them what just happened. We just kind of got to accept it. But you're right. And now that's going to bother me from now on. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome. Anything I can do. Anyway, what else did you have, Josh?
I was going to talk about Japanese wrestling, how crazy that gets sometimes. Like, have you seen the videos of like the little, and by little, I'm talking like 8-year-old girls taking on like a gauntlet of men?
No.
Just because, wrestling isn't an actual fight. It's, just the acrobatics, if you will. There's stuff like that. There's people that wrestle blow-up dolls.
Wait, what?
You've never seen the videos of Japanese wrestlers and blow-up dolls?
Jim Cornette going off about
it. What's your search look like, Josh?
I watch all sorts of crazy wrestling, right? I mean, they've got the C4 barbed wire matches.
Yeah.
Over there in Japan, talk about some Cactus Jack, Terry Funk.
Thank you. I'm glad. I gotta pause you real quick again.
Yeah.
You mentioned the barbed wire C4 exploding match. We have to talk about the stupid Eddie Kingston John Moxley match in AEW. Do you remember?
Oh my God.
Rocco,
I thought they were going to kill each other for real.
Yeah, that was during the age of COVID when like AEW was like one of the only things
I gotta show you that, Ray.
to kind of live for.
Yes.
Which made it so much sadder because it was just like, fuck, man, isn't life hard enough that I don't have to have a
That was probably one of the most. I actually had secondhand embarrassment when I saw that live. I watched that match live because I was thinking, okay, they're really doing the exploding death match, the exploding ring death
on TV.
On TV.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't think I've seen a major promotion do that.
Yeah.
Unless it was like maybe East. No, I don't think even ECW didn't do that. They did lots of crazy shit.
The cheese grater thing was kind of like my peak. It still gives me stomach willies to this day.
But when the countdown hit zero, it was so funny.
Honestly, in ECW for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but when the countdown hit 0 on that, and then like it was a little dud, and like Eddie Kingston had
4 sparklers basically, and Eddie had to sell it. I don't think Eddie.
She's not seen it. That'd be a funny match to put in the Raven React thing.
Oh my God! Well, that could be
that's funny. Yeah, we got to
watch it. That's not even. We're not gonna make you do that. We're just gonna. I just want you.
It was like a Spinal Tap kind of a thing.
Oh my!
It was.
And honestly,
oh my God! Yes,
one of the first like total missteps of AW to me. Like,
yeah,
that's like if wrestling spoofs wrestling, basically. Like
it was. Yeah,
it's wrestling.
It was like, all right.
I don't remember ever being kind of bummed about an AEW show before that one, but I remember being bummed by many AEW shows after that.
Would you guys say it's fair that it's more fun to lean into the absurdity of pro wrestling than to kind of like
I think it's a case by case kind of a thing, honestly. And
no, you're right.
Like I'm sure I've said this before on the show because I say it a lot, but Another thing that I sort of say in defense of wrestling is that it's sort of the last vestige of the old school variety show. Where you get like an opera singer come out, and then you also get a comedian, and then you maybe get the Beatles if you're super lucky. It's Ed Sullivan, and it's 1963. But like, it's like you get a lot of different stuff, and you kind of, it plays to different tastes for different wrestling fans, right? Like, when you say Joey, what's his name? The dick guy.
Joey Ryan.
Joey Ryan. Like there was a Joey Ryan match in All In, the first All In that took place.
Yeah, there was
after the Cody Rhodes, Nick Aldis match for the NWA title, which was like the most prestigious and believable sort of like compelling wrestling story that I had seen in many years. And then they follow it up by this guy coming out of a coma with a boner. Like, it was just like the dumb. So no, not always, And I also don't think that Vince McMahon was like funny on purpose very often. Like, I think that most things that are funny about WWF and WWE through the years was just kind of like, oh shit, like they really meant you to take that seriously. Whereas the things that they try to do to be deliberately funny, not,
One of the things that was crazy, because a lot of people, when they talk about Vince McMahon, they always talk about how he had a very sick sense of humor. And I mean, clearly you could see that if you grew up and watched Attitude Era stuff. I remember, I think it was in Beyond the Mat, which is that's a movie, boy. I'll tell you what, that was I have that. I think Raven should watch that. It's something.
VHS copy,
I believe it's in this. There's a part where the character Draws, rest in peace, was literally a character that Vince McMahon made. That his entire gimmick was vomit.
I quote this all the time for no reason.
And I remember the scene, I think it was in Beyond the Mat, where Vince McMahon is telling Draws about he's gonna puke. He's gonna puke. Yeah.
He's gonna puke.
And because I think Draws said that he had a good regurgitative flex in his throat.
That was how that happened. Imagine training the greatest point that you can be. You're at the point of the greatest physical fitness you can be. You've learned to wrestle. You're at the stage where you're about to be on WWF potentially.
The biggest stage.
Dream of being like Roddy Piper, Macho Man, whatever. Like you really want to be a wrestler, and it's like, so I hear you can vomit on command.
Yeah.
And then that's who you are for me. Until another man breaks your neck, and then you're a quadriplegic for the rest of your life. Like Draw's got the worst deal of anyone I can think of in wrestling, and it's so sad. He seemed to be a pretty good dude.
Yeah, he ended up getting had a really bad injury, and he ended up being paralyzed for it.
Man,
poor guy. But yeah, I mean that's the absurdity of wrestling is just that it, like you just said. I mean, you train your whole life to be and sometimes it works in a good way. Like,
and then Vince McMahon decides that you're going to be the guy who wears the dress or whatever.
Yeah,
and I mean, point. Like, it's funny that Beyond the Mat comes up, because I was just thinking about that. And like the stuff that Vince McMahon tries to do in that to be funny is really kind of not funny, beyond just that he's a psychopath. But the things where he's not trying to be funny, like the part where he's like, "We make movies." It's like, you don't make movies. You don't make movies. And when he's backstage with Cornette and somebody else, and he's watching a match, and it's like the guy accidentally drops the other guy on his neck, and he's like, "Oh, I think we need a little work there." Like he's not trying to be funny, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Rarely funny on purpose.
Do you guys remember Perry Saturn Moppy?
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, when WWE bought WCW, four men came over from WCW they called them the Radicals. It was Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn. And by far and away, four of my favorite people to watch in WCW. And so, of course, there were people who were worried, well, what's going to happen to them in WWE? Are they going to screw them over? Because
how will they be booked?
So they actually did
go from WCW to WWE in a long time.
Yeah. So Benoit and Eddie Guerrero came over to WWE. They had world titles. Malenko was doing a damn good job over there as well. What did Perry Saturn do? He had a Mop as his manager. Named Moppy.
Yeah.
They're showing Raven a picture of Moppy and Perry Saturn. Literally a
Why
mop.
does he look like Mr. Clean?
Well, that's just one instance.
Is that why he had him?
Do you guys remember the storyline of Vince McMahon's illegitimate son?
Yeah, it was Hornswoggle.
It ended up being Hornswoggle, the little guy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then he made him Leprechaun.
Well, and I think we mentioned this before, but the Katie Vick angle led me to not watch wrestling for years.
You mean to tell me that? So wait, Katie Vick got you to stop watching wrestling, but Val.
That was the last straw, basically.
Oh, but Val Venus getting castrated on Monday Night Raw didn't.
Oh my God, me chopping your
I actually
pee.
don't know that I was watching wrestling at that particular time. But there was enough other stuff going on to kind of look past a lot of those things. I mean,
I just showed Raven a picture of when Taka Michinoku had Taka Michinoku and Funaki had Val Venus naked strung up because I have to give you so Raven Val Venus was a guy who he only wore a towel.
Okay.
And his whole thing was like
he was a porn star.
He was a porn star.
Oh, geez.
And he basically was a womanizer and probably all the things Vince McMahon did into a character.
Yeah.
And so he got into a feud with Taka Michinoku and Funaki. They were a tag team called Taka and Funaki.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kept talking about how they were going to chop off his, they were called Kaientai. And they were going to chop off his penis. And so
he had sort of like a tryst with their daughter or something,
something like that.
The wife or daughter or something, yeah.
So
they had some like reason.
So they end up on Monday Night Raw. They end up like capturing basically or tying up Val Venus, and I just showed Raven a picture of naked Val Venus on Monday Night Raw. I think
that's insane.
And they're in like the dressing room, and they got him tied up, his hands tied up to the ceiling, and they pulled out a katana. And he goes, chop, me choppy, pee, and then they go down, but they cut away. And so the whole thing was like, did Val Venus get his penis chopped off? I think
John Marino was maybe a big thing at the time too, right? Like that was
what Rocco?
That was like John Wayne Bobbitt thing.
Oh yeah.
Because Vince, like the famous thing about Vince McMahon was always that he didn't really watch anything outside of his own product. But he would occasionally hear of something in the news, or there would be like a movie he would go see.
Yeah.
Bizarre person, basically.
I have a theory that Vince McMahon was exactly like his camp WWE character. To the T.
Yeah, I think at least a lot. Yeah. I mean, he was kind of set free in a way once.
So
that was
blueberry vodka, that's a girl's drink. That's just the one line that always stands out to me.
Match in as a bad match for Raven one day, but who can forget the classically absurd match with at Backlash? I don't remember what it was, but it was Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon versus HBK and God.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
God.
Which HBK did as a born again Christian, which he says that he takes it really serious.
Oh my God, I forgot about it.
Yes, you're right. Oh my God, he was there. And remember they had God just be like a light.
Yeah.
They played like a stupid like heavenly like serenade, and he's like, "Get your ass out here, God damn it!"
Wow.
And I'm broken. I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny, but like, you're gonna really piss off the Christians now.
Pushing it, Vince.
Yeah, but look at the graphic for it. Look, it was like Shane and Vince, and then HBK, and like God was the light, this big bright light.
It's just like spotlights coming down.
That's what it was.
It's not even like
that's what it was. When he came out, he goes, "Come out here, God, get over here, you son of a bitch." I remember like I'm just like, that is so terrible.
That is awful.
So it basically ended up being like HBK versus it's like a 2-on-1 tag match, basically.
Wow.
What a time.
A time.
What a time to be alive, man. I'm
so glad I wasn't watching during that all that shit.
I think one of the most absurd matches in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it has to be. I really hope we can get him on our show. We need to get Al Snow on our show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I have to talk to Al Snow. And I'm not going to ask him about this in passing. This is not just something you say, hey, how would that match go? What do you think about that? This has to be one of the most absurd professional wrestling matches of all time. Who remembers the Kennel in a Cage match between Big Boss Man and Al Snow?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, this was a steel cage with the Hell in a Cell around it.
Yes.
And in between the cell and the cage were these, quote, vicious dogs. There were Dobermans running around that could bite you. Yeah. That was a thing.
That was a thing that happened.
That happened.
I'm just sitting here shaking my head because...
Yeah.
Now you got me thinking of a really bad, like, match types that they tried. Like, what was it? The Inferno match, and the first one to get lit on fire loses.
Oh, yeah.
It was an absolute winner.
Yeah. Do you guys remember Heidenreich? Heidenreich. Always looked like he was doing something bad to Michael Cole from behind in their segments and backstage.
What?
Yeah.
Like he was
long-suffering
Michael Cole looked like Paul Reiser in that picture. He did.
We also can't forget about the this is a classic. Raven, you've not seen this match, and we'll probably put it in your matches. The good old the custody battle for Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Ray versus Eddie Guerrero ladder match. Man.
I'm your Poppy.
Or the infamous paddle on a pole match. That was was that like Stacy Keibler and somebody. They put a paddle on a pole. And it was a pole on one of the corners of the ring. They had to climb up the turnbuckle and grab it and like spank the opponent or some shit.
That's okay.
Oh yeah.
A lot of like wrestling at that time,
I mean, a lot of wrestling then was really not wrestling. If you think about it, it was really not wrestling. It was wrestling, but not wrestling.
Sports entertainment, right?
It was more, it was more of the sideshow stuff that you would see. Not really like now, where, I mean, they're not even that absurd anymore in WWE. Modern WWE. I can't.
Triple H is not a guy who really, I mean, even though he did the Katie Vick angle, he loves old wrestling. He loves the shit I talk about all the time.
Yeah.
He goes back to those days.
But I can't. Can you guys think of anything like modern now that's pretty absurd?
I like Tony Storm, Timeless Tony Storm. I mean,
exactly.
But that's a pretty absurd gimmick.
That's a pretty absurd one.
The whole black and white thing is great. I love it. You
it.
got Danhausen in general. Like, I know they don't let him wrestle on TV anymore, but you got to remember he wrestles like a big guy as a little guy, and I love that.
True.
Remember the Boogeyman?
Oh, how could you forget Boogeyman?
He's the Boogeyman. He's going to get you.
The Boogeyman. He's coming to get you. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've got the little side chat that we do for the where we make the videos for Raven Reacts, and I said this and it got completely looked over, and so I don't know if either of you guys saw it. But Kaiju Big Battle was a wrestling promotion that was listed as like a TV program.
Okay.
And they had a ridiculous story that was super hard to keep up with. But all of their characters ranged from like an evil mad scientist was like the main heel. And then you had all these characters that were like, oh, I'm a giant scab and I'm a dinosaur wearing a building. Stuff like that. And that was absolutely nuts. And honestly, I've been trying to find the whole thing and watch it. You can find random videos on YouTube.
Oh, for sure.
I sent a pretty good one the other day in the group chat.
That's Wild and Woolly here in Louisville, Kentucky, a hip video place that sadly is defunct. I bet the DVDs go for a lot on eBay. I'm gonna go ahead and get
sure, yeah. Because it was only in America part of the like Action Now block on I couldn't tell you what channel it was, but it was one of those like side channels you only got on cable, so a lot of people didn't even know it was a thing.
Well,
it was wonderful.
Before we go ahead and wrap up this episode real fast, I just want to bring up this. Someone wrote an article on Medium about, they said, pro wrestling is the perfectly ridiculous antidote to everything. Even if you never got into it, the self-aware parody makes for perfect escape. I think it's a great way to put it. I think
I like that.
I think that to be a fan, and Rocco, you alluded to this earlier, pro wrestling is one of those things, you either get it or you don't. There is really no in between, I don't think. I think you're either gonna, and I've noticed this with people, you either really, really like pro wrestling or you really, really don't like pro wrestling. That pro wrestling is definitely something that has spanned multiple generations. There's lots of cross, like pro wrestlers doing movies. Has been a big thing for a long, long time. That's something that Hulk Hogan kind of started doing. He was one of the first to really get into that and get into the world of Hollywood. And now you have guys like The Rock who do it, John Cena, Batista. Randy Orton has done some movies. So has Miz. Undertaker did the Suburban Commando. Roddy Piper. They live.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Roddy Piper was actually in a good one.
Yeah. Well,
And now don't we have Cody and Roman?
Yeah, Cody and Roman are doing Street Fighter. So I mean, pro wrestling is in a lot of different genres of different things in life. They do comic books about pro wrestling. There are pro wrestlers that do comic books, like Rocco has Freya the Slay and Ghost Agents, for instance. I mean, there's lots of that. So pro wrestling is huge in pop culture now.
I mean, we just went to an event tonight for Yelp, and there was
some art on the wall of like artwork, Flair, Stone Cold, and Angle. So I mean, it has
little mini paintings on canvas.
Yeah. So I mean, for pro wrestling, it's absurd to a point, but you have to go into it knowing that you're in a world where a lot of things are not gonna make sense.
It's entertainment.
But at the same time, that's kind of true for a lot of other things, like movies,
books.
Books.
We always talk about in our book groups how you have to suspend reality.
You got to have suspension of disbelief. You can't
suspension of disbelief. That's right.
You got to do that, and it's not always going to be something you like. Of course, you might think that's too much blood, but somebody else is like, hell yeah, this is like fucking sick. And I get to see with AEW all the time. People are like, that's too much blood. And I'm just like, you kids would have never made it in ECW days. Like, you never would have ever. This you don't know too much blood. I know what too much blood is, right? So, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this episode of A Bunch of Marks, as we talked about the absurdity of professional wrestling. No matter where you're listening to us at, we appreciate you. If you're listening to us over on Good Pods, Spotify, or on our YouTube channel, you can leave a comment. So let us know, what are some absurd things that you find about professional wrestling. We're always looking for a different perspective. By the way, once again, come out and see us at Squared Circle Expo 6 in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that is on March the 27th and 28th, a Friday and Saturday. It's the Wyndham West. You can go to squaredcirclex.com. Get your tickets now. They're gonna continue to be announcing. It's one of my favorite parts about CX is like when the new announcements when they come up. You look for that every year. So come out, hang out with us, talk with us, and thanks to my co-host for being here again this week. And we'll see you guys on another new episode in just a few weeks. Until then, take care, guys. See ya.